Hi, y'all. How y'all doing? Everybody out in uh, computer land, YouTube, Facebook, and all of that. I have a distinguished gentleman on tonight. He is Tangipahoa Parish Clerk of Court. And we're going to talk a little bit and we're going to see what he's talking about because he wants to go ahead on and be reelected for the last term. He
That's
says
correct.
that he will not run again after this time. So he's asking his many friends and different ones to give him another opportunity to serve. And that's a blessing though, because if he served this time, it's gonna really truly be time to retire. For real, it's gonna be time to retire. So we just thank God for him and thank God what he has been to the community. And of course, right off the back, I have to just tell you, he is my candidate. I'm sorry, y'all. He
Well,
is my
thank you.
candidate.
Thank you.
Straight up, he is my candidate, and I can tell you right now, regardless of to the interview, I didn't necessarily need this interview, and but for those of you who may not be as familiar with him as others, it never hurts to get as much in as you can, even though he's an incumbent and he's already in office. Everybody still may not know him or know what he stands for and who he is and what he has done for so many people. And he is a Caucasian and he's done a lot for both communities though, and that's what some don't know and some need to know, because I find out in elections, we see a lot of stuff and sometimes we become colorblind in these elections or whatever. So we want to make sure everybody knows what's happening here and know who the man Gary Stanga is, just in case you have never met him and you don't know anything about him. But if you follow him out there on Facebook, and that's one thing that I love about him, he has been very visible out there, and he didn't just start being visible out there. He's been visible out there for a long time. And on Facebook and just in the community. And he served a lot of office and capacities. And I know y'all, I'm long winded and I run away with things, but I'm just saying the things that I have learned about him in the 5 years that I have known him. I think it's been a little over 5 years that I met him, and like I said, there's different controversies about different things. So, um, Brother Stangler, and I said Brother Stangler because he's a man of faith.
That's correct.
He's a man of faith. So I'm gonna say
First and foremost,
what you said first and foremost.
that's the most important thing I think, or should be, in anybody's life. Your faith in God and that your family, your country. I believe in all of those things. I I I want to take just a few minutes, and I want to tell people kind of where I came from. I grew up out in the Eighth Ward, out in BDCO. That's back when there wasn't very many people out there. It was just a handful of people. Uh, Pretty much everybody out there we were related to, in some either you were blood related to them or you were related to them by marriage. And my parents used to tell me, said, you don't ever want to marry anybody from the other side of the river, because that was back before you had modern transportation. I guess you didn't just run back and forth from BDCO to Ponchatoula like you do now. But they said don't marry anybody on the other side of the river because you probably related to them some kind of way. But one of the things, Renee, I wanted to mention to everybody, and this is something I've always been very, very proud of. It's not so much about me as it is my parents. Uh, when my parents first moved out in to Betico out there, they literally did not have electricity. And when I say they didn't have electricity, I don't mean it was just them that didn't have it. It wasn't anybody that had it.
Okay.
So we grew up. There was six of us kids, three boys and three girls, and we grew up poor. I mean, quite honestly, because we had a loving mother and father, and they always made sure that we had stuff to eat. We
Okay.
never went without. You can look at me and tell that I never went without. But I we just grew up not having a whole lot of material things, and so I think my upbringing. The reason I'm mentioning all this, my upbringing has really directly correlated to me having compassion for people who may not have as much as someone else does. And I've always gone above and beyond to try to help people that may not have. In my particular case at the office, I help a lot of people that maybe they can't afford to hire a good lawyer or hire a lawyer at all, and they just want to be pointed in the right direction. So uh, that's what I do a lot of to try to help them. It gives me a lot of self satisfaction. And my dad was the first. Uh, he helped physically build the first Baptist church that they had out there in Betico, and my dad was the first deacon of that church, and we went there for many years. The worst whooping, I shouldn't tell this on myself, but I will. The worst whipping I ever got, uh, it was on a Sunday morning. I can remember it vividly. And my mother was trying to get me to get ready to go to church because there was no not going to church. You didn't have a choice. You went to church on Sunday morning uh, for Sunday school. You stayed for church. You went back Sunday night, and then you went back Wednesday night for prayer meeting. Anyway, this particular Sunday, I just wasn't really in the mood. I was, I guess, preteen, uh, and I wasn't. I just felt like I didn't need to go to church that day. And mother said something to me, and I don't remember exactly what I said, but it came across to my dad. He was in earshot, and it came across to him that I was sassing her. And
Mm.
Lord have mercy, I didn't think that man was ever going to turn me loose. But needless to say, I never gave my mother any lip about going to church anymore, or anything else for that matter.
I like that. I like that. I like that. Uh, and that's the way it was in most homes that back in the day. Back
Yeah,
in the day, that's the way it was in most homes. They didn't play that. You was going to church. I mean, it was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And back then, you didn't have much more to do, so they didn't only want you, like you were saying. I think I heard you say, y'all stayed all day. They y'all was going morning, noon, and evening. Because I
and
don't
some,
know about in the church you attend, but up in a lot of the Baptist church, they had something called
yeah,
BYTU.
yeah,
Okay, so you remember that. You remember that.
yeah. I
But uh,
remember that.
but one thing is interesting about you, Mr. Brother Singler, is the fact that you are really committed to helping people. That's one of the things that I've learned about you because I follow you, like I said, on social media, and then I've followed some other things, and talked to other people and saw some other posts that were on your page, and I realized that all the people you help are not on Facebook. And then I realized that all the people that you help are just not going to speak out, which I wish there were more people, because there are so many people that you help. And some of them speak out, but I wish more of them would speak out on a platform like this. Maybe on your Facebook page, and stuff like that, which I've seen some people who have spoke out on your behalf, but not to the degree that I would think, according to the way that you have helped, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well, you know, when give people a little bit of background, I'm gonna back all the way up. I worked for it was South Central Bell back when I got hired uh, in 1973. Uh, and I worked for South Central Bell, and then it turned into Bell South uh,
mhm,
later on. But I worked for them for 31 years. Uh, I started out as a lineman, and then I was a installer and repairman, and then after about 10 years there, I got promoted to supervisor. In my last 21 years with the telephone company, I supervised people. I had the last 10 years, 10 or 11 years, I guess, I spent up in Amite, and I had everything from uh, south of Independence, all of the Independence Exchange and the Amite Exchange and the Kentwood Exchange, all of the north end of the parish was mine, and I had about 17 Bell South people working for me, as well as I had contractors that worked under my direction. So, and I had, but between the salaries and everything that we had, I mean, I was over, it was multi-million-dollar budget that I was overseeing. So that gave me a lot of experience. Also, during the time that I worked with the telephone company, in 1976, I was elected to the Ponchatoula City Council, and on and off, this is not consecutive years, but on and off, I served 20 years on the city council. I was mayor pro tem, I think, for 8 of those years. And here again, it was a good experience for me uh, because of learning about government, about the uh, bid process, about the law. Uh, so all of those things, kind of put me in a better position to when I retired from the phone company. And Mr. Julian Dufresh, who was former mayor of Ponchatoula and was beloved throughout the entire parish, he asked me to go to work and be it's the title is chief deputy, but it's actually like an office manager. You do the all of the hiring or any disciplinary action that may have to be taken with employees. Uh, you negotiate contracts. So I did that for 16 years. And then, unfortunately, Mr. Dufresh uh, passed away.
okay,
And
stop right there, Gary. Stop right there. Okay, so um, you about to really tell your age, but
no, I said, how many years did I say?
16,
No, it's 14. I'm sorry.
close enough still.
It's no,
but
that's, hey, I've been up since 4:30 this morning. You cut me a little bit of slack. No, it was 14 years that I worked for, with Julian, and then he passed. And then I was appointed clerk due to being chief deputy, which that was only until we could have a special election. I ran in that election. I got like, I think 79% of the vote. And then the last time, uh, when it came time for me to run, I was unopposed. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually kind of thought, and not that I'm entitled to it, and I don't want to make anybody think that, because I'm certainly not. But I kind of thought maybe that I might be unopposed this time, and then whoever was thinking about running would wait until 4 years from now, and then throw their name in the hat because it'll be an open seat at that time. So, and look, it's always a little bit more difficult for people to run against an incumbent than it is, when you're just running in an open seat. And to give you an example, like the sitting sheriff, if you run against whoever's in office as sheriff, it's pretty tough nut to crack to beat them because they usually have a lot of people with them. Uh, but like this time, you have an open seat, and so you have 6 people or whatever running for sheriff. And while we're on that subject, I want to let everybody know that I'm going to vote for somebody for sheriff, just like everybody or most other people are that go and vote. If you go and vote, you're probably going to vote for somebody for sheriff. Uh, I know who I'm going to vote for, and uh, but as far as me campaigning for anybody else, I'm not doing that, and I want to tell everybody that. I want them to know whoever is elected sheriff, I have to work with them. The clerk of court is a very unique position because I work with parish government, like parish president Robbie Miller. Uh, I have to work with all of the judges. I have to work with the district attorney. I have to work with the sheriff, and I have to work with the assessor. So, you have to, it's all about building relationships with these people so that you can, you know, a lot of times, people call me, they just need information. How do I do this? I don't know. I've never done this before. So they call me, and because I have relationships with some of these other people, I'm able to uh, get what they need. And sometimes even uh, it's something that I can directly help them with. But anyway, I want to go wheel back again to when Julian Dufresh got elected. And I was his chief deputy. We were sworn in the same exact day. We met right after we were sworn in, well, when he took office. We met with every employee in the office. And I had 3 things that I told the people that were there at that time. And of course, many of those people have gone on, they have retired, or some of them might have took another job somewhere or whatever, but for various reasons, most of those people aren't there anymore. Anyway, when I met with those people, I said, there's 3 things that I expect. First is I expect you to be at work on the days that you're supposed to be at work. The second thing is I expect you to be on time on the days that you're supposed to be at work. And third, and the most important thing, I told everybody that I talked to, I said, anybody and everybody that walks in the front door of our clerk's office, I don't care if they're barefooted and they got overalls on, or if they got a $3,000 silk suit on, I want them treated the same exact way. Because no matter who you are, where you are in your stage of life, you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And I'm blessed. I am so blessed. I get so many compliments about the employees at the office on how they treat people. I have attorneys come from out of town that's handling court cases. And they will tell me, said, we have never been anywhere in this state that people are treated as well as they are, as your people treat us. And it makes me feel good. And I always try to let my employees know that uh, because it's them, that they're doing a great job.
Okay, Brother Stangler, um, like I said, this interview is important and it can be shared. I know you will share it on your page and ask your many friends to share it with their friends and what have you, both your Caucasian and black friends, because you have both. You have a diversity of
Let me stop
associates.
you, Renee. Let me stop you. I don't have Caucasian friends and African American friends. I got friends.
Right,
I
right.
mean, you're either my friend or you're not my friend, whatever. But I don't, I really don't. I don't differentiate between, I mean, that might sound corny or whatever, but it's true. I mean, and people, when they come in there in my office, I don't keep score. I don't know if those people voted for me, didn't vote for me, or whatever, and I really don't care. That's not my job. My job is to try to help them if I can possibly help them, and that's what I do.
Right. And well, that's why I broke it down because, like I said, uh, you have a black candidate and two white candidates. And a lot of times people differentiate with uh, the colors and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make sure that people know that your friends are multiple friends, Hispanic, all multiple, and they're your friends, like you said. And that's good. You brought that out when I said that your friends are your friends. You don't go by all of that, you know.
Yeah.
So they need to know that. They need to know that they are not. When they go to the poll, it's not because I'm this or that, I'm gonna vote this, I'm gonna vote that. We want to vote and judge the man by his character. But I will say this while we're here, and so those who are saying it, you can nip that in the bud. It has been said that the reason you were opposed this time is that you had and I don't know if they just assumed this in their head or somebody told them this because I talk to you pretty often.
Uh huh.
We are two that have become friends and we talk pretty often. And you have
Right.
really been a real friend to me in so many ways. So uh, we talked and I asked you, I said, is anybody opposing you way back a year ago? You said, I don't know yet. I won't know until qualifications or whatever. But it was told to me by two or three different people that you said. So that's why I said we're gonna nip this in the bud right here. I don't know who you talked to or who you said what to, but it was said that you said that you was not gonna run this time, that you was through. But you never told me that in this whole past year that we talked. Cause I
I've never told anybody that, Renee. That's look, especially the people that run against you. If you're an incumbent and somebody's going to run against you, they have to come up with something. Okay. And the thing that discourages me, I'm gonna be quite honest with you, is that people see or hear stuff on social media, and they think just because it's on social media, that means it's a fact. And I got a Bible here at my house. I got one on my desk at work. If you want to know what the truth is, you open that Bible up and read it because that's the only place that you can read something and know it's going to be the truth. Because uh, and let me say this: anytime anybody, and you don't have to be a friend of mine, if you just curious, if you just want to know, if you hear something, the only person that can give you a straight answer on that is Gary Stanga.
That's right.
If I hear something about Renee, okay, I'm not
Right.
going to go ask somebody else about it. I'm going to come straight to Renee and ask you about it, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, I don't know. There's just I was disappointed. I seen uh, something that one of my opponents put out about saying that a lot of documents he wants to restore integrity to the clerk of court's office. That there's documents that's been lost and documents that have been destroyed and all of that. Well, let me tell you something. There are documents periodically that's destroyed because people don't understand. We, the law says that basically everything that comes into our office, we have to keep it forever. Okay, but there's a caveat to that. There are certain things that after you keep them for so many years, you have to make a list of those things that you want to get rid of. You submit the list to the Secretary of State's office, okay? And bear in mind, these same documents are scanned. They're scanned into our computer system, which we have 5 different locations where we store data at. And we do that because in the event that one uh, place may get a virus or whatever, we still got 4 other places where our data is stored at, and it's secure. So, uh, yeah, I mean, you do. If you didn't purge some of the documents after a certain length of time, we have our office is full right now of documents. Okay, both in the file room and there's a mezzanine. If you ever, when you walk in the clerk's office, I think I showed it to you the day that you came. That upstairs part up there, that also gets filled up. Once those 2 places are full, then we move documents from there down to our archives building, which is right down the street from the courthouse. And it's gotten full. Over the years, we've taken space that used to be, there was a big meeting room that was only used 2 or 3 times a year. I took that room and 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 converted it into more storage area so that we would have room to keep more files. Uh, anyway, I was and the person saying this, the odd thing about it is they worked in the copy in the file room their entire career. That's. So if if there was, how you going to say you're going to restore integrity if you were the one that was working in there to begin with?
So what you
It doesn't
saying?
make sense.
So what you're saying, Brother Sanger, is that if a person was working in that particular office, which I know you gave me a tour around, and I met everybody in every department and saw a lot of the things that you oversee, and a lot of times you told me that you mostly communicate with the heads in each of those departments
Correct.
to make sure everything is accurate. But as you were saying, if a person was working in that capacity, um, they would have to have some kind of proof, and you would have had to at some time go through them to be able to do all this destroying the integrity that you said that they are talking about restoring. They would have to be the they would have to be the ones that was directly involved but never reported it and never ran against you in the past. I'm just confused about a whole lot of stuff.
Well, it's all about having something to talk about. That's what it is. That's what it boils down to. I mean, uh, we have look, and I know I don't like to pat myself on the back, and it's not all about me to begin with. It's about the 57 employees that I have that do such a wonderful job. Uh, but we have a wonderful office. Uh, we the people do good work, and we do everything by the law. I will say this: when Julian Dufresh and I first went there, there was a lot of things being done in that office. Uh, that's been almost 20 years ago. There was a lot of things being done in that office that weren't being done according to the law. I got our attorney at the time for the office was Tom Waterman, and Mr. Waterman has passed away since then. But I got Tom Waterman. I said I want to know the statute for that supports each and everything that we do, and we got the state statutes, the law, for lack of a better word, the laws that support every dime that we charge, uh, everything that we do. It's all everything that we do in that office is passed by the state legislature. We can't do anything, and we can't, uh, like people that want to record certain things, as long as it's formatted correctly and has the necessary, whether it has to be notarized or whatever, and you bring it in there, we don't have any choice but to record it. We have to record it. The other thing I want to tell people is, and this hits a nerve with not only me, but a lot of my employees. A lot of times people say, well, my tax money, well, it's really not your tax money that funds the clerk of court's office. Our office is different from every other office up there. Everybody, uh, the DA, the sheriff, everybody gets a certain amount of tax revenue. The clerks in throughout Louisiana, not just my office, but throughout the state of Louisiana, clerk of courts or on, the only funding that we get is from the fees that we charge when someone comes in to file a suit, or if they come in to have a document recorded or something like that. Plus, there's a whole lot of things that we do that we don't get paid for. For example, uh, most things that go through criminal court, uh, we don't get any money out of that. I'm just spending money to have minute clerks, go in with the judges and take minutes and all. But so there's a lot of expense involved in that I don't have any way of recouping. But we have done uh, a good job of being fiscally responsible with people's money. You never see me going uh, about a tax revenue. The only thing that we do get from the parish or the people. When I say the parish, I'm talking about the people of Tangipahoa Parish. The people of Tangipahoa Parish pay or paid for the courthouse when it was built. Naturally, it's been paid for many years. Now they pay, the light bill and stuff like that. According to Louisiana state law, the it's the parish's responsibility to furnish uh, a place for the clerk of court to have their office. So we are we are furnished with the floor space that we use in the courthouse, and we're very appreciative of that. And I may say that also that like during COVID, the parish president and the parish council they all were very cooperative with me. We went in, and as you noticed when you came to visit recently, you saw that glass that's up down the counters and all that separates the employees from the public.
Mhm.
And it used to not be like that. It was just everything was open air. But during COVID, we put those up because, quite frankly, you didn't know who was, carrying. You might be carrying COVID and not have any symptoms, but come in and you leaning across the counter. So we did that to protect our employees and as well to protect the public because we did have some employees that that came down with COVID during that time, so they could have been at work and then infected a customer if it weren't for that glass. So I'm very appreciative for the parish doing that. They've helped us with some other uh, projects and stuff that we've done. But as far as all our machines that we use, copying machines, printers, computers, all of that's paid for by the clerk of court out of our budget.
Well, I can say this, Brother Gary Stanga. Like I said, I've been communicating with you for, you said it earlier, you worked 14 years with the former clerk of court, and then he passed because of illness. And by you being, were you like his assistant? Well, whatever that position you said, the deputy, whatever, that's like the assistant to the clerk
Yes,
of court?
it's that's the next person in line. It's like being the vice president of the United States. If something happens to the president, then that person takes over. So it's the same thing. Uh,
So, do you have anybody that's holding that position now?
oh
Behind
yes,
you,
I have a
under
lady
you?
that there was a lady in the office that had been she's been there for I don't know 25 years or maybe even more 26. I don't know how long exactly how long, but she had a lot of experience in. She had worked in multiple departments in the office. She had ran our elections for us at one point in time when Miss Carolyn Williams from Kentwood, Cookie, we call her. Cookie was our elections person, and she contracted a really rare fungus, for lack of a better word, that attacked her lungs, and she was totally incapacitated. And Alicia Facel, who was my chief deputy, she had uh, stepped in and she she got kind of christened by trial by fire because right after she took over, we had an election coming up. So she had to, you know, study the election code, and it's a big, thick book, probably 2 or 3 inches thick, and had to learn all of that. And she did an excellent job. Anyway, she did a lot, and that's who I promoted uh,
But
to take that job.
tell me this, Brother Stangler. And like I said, we're just getting things out, because people are listening. They want to, hear. Um, the Okay, anybody can, not anybody, but I'm sure. Uh, what? Okay, I know you had a lot of experience prior to even coming work for the clerk's office and becoming the deputy name that that we are just talking about with the other lady and with what you were to do, friend. Uh, but you then, it appears to me in the clerk's office they prefer, because you said now you kind of came at the same time Do Fresh came.
Yes, same
Okay,
exact time.
okay. Now, when Do Fresh became the clerk of court, was he working at all in the clerk's office at all?
He had,
Like
yeah. See, well, not right then. He was actually mayor of Ponchatoula prior to that
okay,
for many years, and But Julian had worked at the clerk of court's office. He worked under Mr. Starr way back then, and I think he worked for a while under Coleman Moore. Uh,
Okay,
so
these
and
are other people.
those are some names that young people's not going to recognize because we're going back a ways. But yes, and let me say this: he also had experience. Julian had worked for the oil and gas industry, and his job was he would go because he had worked at Tangipahoa Parish Clerk's office. He would go to other parishes and run land records to for them to be able to get right of ways from people to do oil and gas exploration. So yes, he had a great deal of experience.
Okay, when
Uh,
he worked for the clerk, you told me two people he worked under. When he worked for the clerk of court, what positions do you know? Do you know? Because for the people, for the record, I'm just trying to establish something here because I know in talking to you and looking
He
at
worked,
your
he
background.
worked, he worked in mortgage, and conveyance primarily, which is dealing with land records.
Okay.
Uh, I know that's where he spent most of his time. I really don't know. I never really asked him, about any other jobs that he may have held while he was there. But as far as managerial experience, uh, primarily that came from being mayor of Ponchatoula and here again, running a multi-million-dollar budget with a lot of employees and all. Let me say one other thing. Uh, when Mr. Dufresne got elected, I went in and my first what I felt like I needed to do was just to kind of observe and see what was going on in the office. And before I started trying to make any changes, uh, I don't remember, don't hold me to the exact number, but it was either 7 or 8 African Americans that worked in that clerk's office out of 50. Okay. And I went to Mr. Dufresne and I told him, I said, we have a problem. And he said, what's the matter? I said, our office is not representative of the makeup of the parish. I said, quite frankly, we just don't have enough black people working here. And so I can't remember everybody I went to, but I know I talked to Wilbert Dangerfield back then. I talked to Dr. Garrett back then and some ministers. I don't want to start calling other people's names because I believe somebody else out, but, uh, and I told them, I said, don't send me somebody just because they're African American. I need somebody that, that you think can do the job, that can train. So over a period of time, I started hiring people, and I hired more and more and more. And I don't know, right now, I think we probably got 18 or 19, whatever. The percentage of the office is way greater than it was. At one time, and this just goes to show you how I am, at one time, we had out of 5 supervisors in the office, and I'm not counting the chief deputy. I'm just counting the supervisors over individual departments. Out of those 5 supervisors, 4 of them were African Americans.
Okay, because
Wait. Let me finish. I didn't. They didn't get that job because they was African American. They got the job because they was the best people for the job at that time. Okay. So, and then since then, uh, we've had like Andre Richardson, Miss Tammy Wren. I'm trying to think. Michelle Hughes. She was supervising mortgage, And she just got to where she said, I'm tired. She said, I just want a break. And so she said, let somebody else do it. And we did. And then since then, she always wanted to get to Hammond because that's where she lives at. So a good while back, I moved her to the Hammond office. And now I have two ladies, African American ladies in the Hammond office, Elisa Quinn and Michelle Hughes, that are in that office. So 50% of my staff in Hammond are African Americans. So anyway, this is the big deal to me. When Renee Washington walks into my office, okay, and let's just say you don't know Gary Stanga, but you just walking in there cold turkey. I want you to be able to look around and see people that look like you because I think it makes you feel more comfortable. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's the way I feel. That's what I've always done. And that's as long as I'm there, that's what I'm going to continue to do. So I think it's only fair. I think that, you need to have uh, uh, a fair amount of people that's representative of the population of the parish.
So what I'm hearing you saying, what I'm seeing, and what the public needs to know, not only when you came to the clerk of court, but before you became clerk of court, you was the assistant to the clerk of court that had been a great man, and a lot of people liked Mr. Dufresne. I used to hear him talk about him, and I'll be honest with you, until here recent, when I decided that I was going to stand behind you with this election, I didn't know half of the stuff that you was responsible for. I didn't know half of the stuff that you did because it wasn't really my concern, but I do know what you did when it came to me, and that was my concern. But since we had somebody to oppose you, I knew nothing but good in my sight, and I knew nothing but positive in my sight, and I followed you. And you know what I say, the only problem we got with each other is you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat. But other than that, we have no problem. I mean,
Well,
we
and
have no.
and look, this there's a lady that's running in this race, and I quite honestly, I think she was taken advantage of. I think that somebody put her in the race. She just moved to Tinspo Parish last year. And look, I'm not talking bad about anybody. I'm really not. I'm not. My heart's in the right place. I'm just saying she moved here last year from Jefferson Parish. She only registered to vote in Tinspo Parish in March of this year. Okay. And she qualified uh, at the AMET office, and I I had an opportunity to sit and talk to her, and I said, "Ma'am," I said, I would really like to know." I said, "Did I not do something that you expected of me, or did I do something to make you mad?" I said, "I'm just, quite frankly, I'm just trying to figure out why you running." And because I had never heard of the lady before, and most people haven't. But and she said, "Oh no," she said, you doing a good job for us, I know." She said, "I just thought it would be something fun to do." And I mean, more power to her if she thinks this is fun. The other thing that they're putting out there is that Gary Stanga is going to run, and then soon as he gets elected, he's going to step down and he's going to turn it over to his chief deputy. Well, there's a lot of holes in that theory. Number one, why would Gary Stanga spend all of the money that I'm spending and all of the time running 12 and 14 hours a day? Because I got to work for the people of Tinspo Parish during the day. But then before I go to work, I make a lot of stops at coffee shops and stuff like that to visit with people. And then after I get off of work, I go places. And trust me, this whole body's ready for this election to be over with. But uh,
That's
but
another.
I mean can
That,
you just think about how stupid that is?
but
I mean, I'm running because there are some things that we started. I've during my 6 years in office, we have done so much to bring the Tangipahoa Parish Clerk of Court's office into the 21st century with technology. Okay, uh, one of the ways that I did that was I hired a young man that was 25 years old who had experience now. He was only 25, but he had a lot of experience working with some major companies on their computers and stuff. And I hired this young man, and he's been with us for 5 years, and he is my total IT department. I've got one person, but he does a lot. He keeps everything running in case something breaks down. Like if a computer goes down in the courtroom, we have to have it back up right now. We can't wait till you call somebody from another parent from Baton Rouge or wherever to come over and fix it. We got to get that courtroom back up so that they can continue having court. So he does that, and besides that, he has allowed us to integrate all of our services uh, into. Now you used to have to come into either to the AMED office or to the Hammond office in order to have a document recorded. Okay, you can do that online now. Mortgage and conveyance. You used to have to come into the office, and you remember all those big books I showed you back in the back there. Everything used to be well, way back in the day, they used to handwrite everything in those books, and then later on they started typing it. But uh, you don't have to. People would have to come in if you buying a piece of property and you want to make sure the title's clear. The abstractor would have to come in, pull those books and go through them and trace it back, say 100 years or whatever, to make sure it was a clear title. Now we got all that online. People, we very rarely see any abstractors in the office. We don't see people from title companies in the office because they can sit in Ponchatoula or Hammond or Kentwood or wherever they are. They could sit at their desk and they could do it.
okay. Well, let me say this. One thing that I'm hearing in this conversation, one thing that I've heard as you and I talk, and people was questioning when young one of the there's one person out there that's a supporter of yours was saying things about how you should win, which several was, but then there were some that come back at him and wanted to because it was a black and white thing rather, and they wanted to say why not give the minister a chance or what have you. And then, of course, like you said, all of a sudden, this other person spring up that just registered. Okay, so um, I don't know. Dufresh, this position here does not have term limits, correct?
No, technically, uh, somebody can get elected and you can just keep running and running and running till you die,
Okay,
or
all right.
whatever.
So what I'm
But
saying,
I,
what
I mean, I,
well,
I like I said,
no, not you. But what I'm saying is, no. The reason I'm saying this is because um, I don't know exactly what I want to say here, but I do know that you have. I don't know what the word emphatically or whatever you have said that this is your lifetime run. You do
oh
not
yeah,
want to run again, but
yeah,
you do want to finish. You just said you want to finish some things that you haven't played, and I can understand that because I know my city councilman. they had people running against him, and he
Mhm.
has been doing a great job, and he had a lot of stuff in place. And if that person would have won, a lot of this stuff is getting done now. It would have seemed that that person was doing it, but it was already in place for him running. And thank
Yeah,
God he did
I
win, because
understand.
now he's continuing on with the progress that he's been making. And it's a lot of stuff has happened since the election that somebody else would have gotten credit for. So listening to what you said earlier, there were things that was put in place, and uh, when, however it go, the things that you already have put in, and I know that I've seen that with the president elections. You have one president in there, and when that other president come in there, it take about 2 years for you to really start something new. So basically, all the good things that's happened the first 2 years is from the previous people that was in there. But they give all that credit to the person who gets elected, even if it be a different person. But I asked earlier about the different people and you being assistant, because I think a lot of stuff. I'm just gonna be honest. That's why the at the time that okay, Drew Fresh was gonna leave here because everybody have a appointed time. But I really believe that he left here at the time that he did because God had that position in store. He wanted to allow you to be able to step in that position. You had already been working behind the scene and doing a lot of stuff that made him shine. I'm not saying that he didn't do nothing right. I'm not saying that. But just listening to the history of you and him and the history of you and him coming into office at the same time, y'all accommodated each other. So, in my opinion, it was more than right. And that's probably how you were able to step in there as an acting person and already having the character you had and the relationship you had with the public from being a councilman and for being, like you said, in all these other positions. It was it was kind of like thumbs down, no reason to go against you. That's why nobody opposed you the last time, because evidently, even when you was assistant, you treated people nice. Even the people who work with you, even your other opponent, you had to treat them nice because nobody went up against you. And then you have steady made an impact and steady helped everybody the whole time
Hmm.
it was in there. And so, other than the fact that it has been said, and you said tonight that it's untrue, that you were not going to run, but all of a sudden you ran. And it's also been said, as you said earlier, I got that the weekend, that the main reason other people are running against you is because you really didn't want to run, but y'all just wanted to ease your deputy.
That's
It,
not true.
it
That I
wasn't
can tell you. And here again, if you want to know, ask the person.
right.
One of the people that's running for a different office that is known to run for a lot of different offices. Uh, he uh, he said that 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 was my intent the whole time, and like I said, it just where somebody could come up with that. And he also said he was questioned. Well, where did you get your information? Well, I got it from somebody in the clerk's office, but I'm not going to divulge my source. Well, that's a cop out as far as I'm concerned. Uh, you know, I can make up all kind of stories, Renee, if I wanted to, but I'm not. I'm more worried about getting heaven than I am worried about getting elected clerk of court. And if getting elected clerk of court is going to interfere with me getting to heaven, well then we got a problem.
And that's another thing. You've always said that, because when I first met you, the person who introduced me to you, they were saying that's one thing that draw them to really like you and want to support you full heartedly, is because of your thoughts on getting to heaven more than worried about that office. But God is good, and God did just what God does. He gave you an opportunity to be in that position because in my opinion, listening to you and just seeing your record, you earned it. You know, you earned that position. You earned that position as a follower. You know, even though thank God that Dufresh did take your advice on some things and you were able to hire, because when I was in your office, you were able to show me some of the people who have been there that Dufresh hired, but then you showed me a whole ton that was there that you hired, and there was a young lady of color. She was there, and you admired her at the bank and admired her expertise and her intelligence. And another thing you said that people probably have a problem with is that you said you have no problem with voting black, you have no problem with hiring black, but you said you don't hire black. You may want somebody black, but you're not just gonna pick anybody black. And even when you ask different people to recommend someone, they didn't want to put their name behind any one of it. So you basically had to go on your own when people put in an application and just believe that your first impression of those that you hired of color was the
Well,
right impression.
let me just say this, and I'm probably digging myself a hole I can't get out of, but
No, don't say it then. Don't say it.
I mean, no, I'm gonna say it because it's the
Okay.
truth. I mean, when you and this is not pertinent just to people of color. This is all people that fill out applications and turn in a resume. Guess what? If you can't spell, and you can't form a complete sentence, then chances are I can't employ you because I mean it just most of the jobs that we have uh, require a certain level. Now you don't have to. I don't college degrees. That does not mean one thing to me. Some of the best employees that I've hired have have no college degrees. Okay, but they had some of them like had worked uh, at for an attorney. If you take a good uh, person that works for an attorney, and they because they deal with all the legal documents. Believe it or not, most of the stuff that attorneys do, their secretaries or whatever you want to call them, assistants, they prepare those documents, and then the attorney reads over it, and then if there's something left out or something that needs to be changed, and that they'll mark it out, write stuff in, and then have them to uh, reformat it. But
Well, one thing you told me,
they
Gary, when I was there, as you was taking me around and meeting the different people, you emphasize on how you all have to have someone that, and that's like the young lady. I'll go back to her again. Evidently, you seen that in her at the bank. The young lady could multitask. You told me that even though certain people have certain jobs, sometimes they might have to step over here to do something for somebody else. So you said to work in the clerk's office and the way you manage, because like another thing you also said, we're not gonna be able to satisfy everybody all of the time anyway. Because like as good as friends as you and I are, I knew that you could not give me a job. Cause see that spelling and that forming the right sentence and stuff, I'm lost right there. But I'm lost right there. So I know in the capacity of what you hired for the clerk's office, I could not qualify for it. Not where I'm at now. Anyway, maybe one day I could have.
but we
I,
have
I done got old now, so I know I won't qualify for it.
But
But my thing
there
is
are
that
lots of people. There are lots of people. There are lots of people out there that are more than qualified to work at the clerk of court's office. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example, and this is my. For some years with the phone company, they actually allowed me to hire my own employees. So you have to cultivate uh, an eye somewhat of you know what you're looking for, and you have to be able to try to figure out in advance, is this person going to be trainable or whatnot. The young lady that you keep referring back to, for one thing, I knew that she was a chief teller at the bank. Okay, that was one thing that I knew. The other thing that I knew was that every time that I went into that bank, she was always smiling and greeted me with a pleasant attitude, and her customer service was off the chart. And those two things alone was enough for me to offer her a job. So, I'm constantly looking for people, because if you run any kind of business, I don't care what it is, uh, you're going to have turnover. Uh, Fortunately, at our office, we don't normally have a whole lot of turnover. So, and then if we do lose somebody, we try to evaluate the personnel that we have and say, is there a person down here in this lower paid job that we think is capable of moving up to this position, and training them to do that so that they can elevate themselves. And I think that's very important, and it gives people something to look forward to.
And like I said, and another thing that I'm hearing, that you are very precise and very strict and very to the professionalism of what you represent, and you want it right, and you can't help it. And so, no, everybody's not gonna get the job that apply because they're not. Like I said, I go back to me again. I'm mistake prone. I have to be getting 2 or 3 applications to get it right without messing up. So you need somebody who's keen on that. And so, like you said, whether it's of color or whether it's not of color, you try to find people that are qualified to
To
do
do the
what
work.
you need to be done. And
Because
that is
look, when somebody comes in our office, they don't really care what color the person that's waiting on them is. They just want their work done right. Okay.
right.
So it doesn't. They can be lily white, or they can be black, or whatever. It
Yeah.
don't matter. They don't care. They, as long as you take my stuff and you get it processed and get it to the judge. Let me tell you a couple other real quick things.
Wait a
And then
minute, before you go there, Gary, I still hear this, and I know, like I said, even with your experience, you don't feel like you was just given a job. You had such a awesome background when you came to the Clerk of Court. That's how you end up going right into the deputy position. Okay, and when we go back to this Clerk of Court, since everybody wants to said this one can do it and that one can do it, and I keep hearing you say about the budget. In your opinion, um, not saying nobody's dumb because dumb or anything, just because they haven't had the experience you had. It ain't like you saying that they can't learn it, but in order to be a clerk of court, from what I'm learning just by talking to you, in order to be a clerk in court, like said, they talk about the lady that's under you. That's why I asked you about you and Dufresne. And in my opinion, even going to biblical, going to a pastor, assistant pastor, if a pastor die, I always feel that God has that key person that's been there, been trained and qualified. Most of the time, you have some churches that don't have nobody, but I can only go by the churches I've been in, like the Greenfield Missionary Baptist Church, and when Pastor Clayton died and Pastor Hannibal was there by his side, had learned every era of
that's
the
right.
church, had been the superintendent, had been in the choir, had been in the treasury, had been in everything. So to me, it wasn't no use of even. And then most of all the other ministers who had came under him had left and got their own churches. So he was the only one standing there qualified to take that position. So I'm saying with the clerk of court, I don't know what the qualification is, but everybody can qualify. But if you worked at the clerk of court and you stayed on the bottom level and never was moved up, but there are I don't know. I'm just saying, if you're moving up and you're moving up, that means you got some qualifications. And with you, and you just became the head clerk of court, so all the ones that was before you, if somebody worked there for so many years and they never applied to advance, no leader never saw in them to advance. I don't know. And now all the people, because then you did distinguish that they had at least four black supervisors at one time. Okay, but in that chief deputy position, and in now that you're the clerk of court, and I'm just saying for these people out there that's listening, how hard is it? There has never been a black person that has moved close to the deputy, chief deputy position. I'm
Not to
saying,
my knowledge, you
uh,
know. One of the people that's running uh, worked for the clerk's office for 36 years. Okay, to my knowledge, and I was only there working with them for 20 of the 36 years. The previous 16, I don't know about, but from what I've been told, the whole 36 years, they were doing one thing, okay? Working one thing. Now, keep in mind, that person worked under four different clerk of courts.
and that's one thing that I'm bringing out because you said they have had supervisors, and so these people was never not even a supervisor. So I'm just saying, go ahead,
Well, and
that you
the
know of your knowledge.
anyway, I better leave all that alone
Yeah,
because
but in order
I
to,
really,
but like you said, in order to,
it's
and
hard to sit back and let somebody talk about your office. You know what I'm saying? That you just don't feel like, uh, if you work somewhere for that length of time and you don't step forward and offer yourself, it's like being in church. Okay, I go to church, and if I just sit there and I never offer myself to serve on a committee or be in the choir or whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of different things that people can do at church.
mhm.
Uh, and, but if you never offer yourself for that, then all of a sudden the pastor dies or leaves or whatever. Well, should that person who's been sitting in the pew all those years, does that make them ready to be pastor? No. It's like you said, it's the people who have worked in different things and offered themselves and served and prepared themselves over the years to be able to move into that position.
Right. And so yeah,
And
so I
that's
see running for a clerk of court. If you haven't been already in the office, you need to come, you, even to put your name in the ballot, and that goes for whoever the lady is too. If she got qualifications, I haven't read her qualifications. I don't know how many stores
I haven't either.
and how many people she done oversee it. But from what I'm hearing about you, and then we're gonna have to get somebody next time, whether it be your deputy. I mean, what's the big deal if it do be your deputy? Because like I said, I'm not about a black and white thing until it's necessary. Like, and like I told you, I do want us to finally get a black mayor. And I think Tracy Wells is the one that needs to be our mayor. But that's me, you know. But anyway, but all these other positions, we ain't just necessary, just always got to have a black person or white. It don't matter. It's about qualification, it's about who can do the job. So as far as clerk of court, in my opinion, if they ever get a black person, that's fine, but let that person, and even if that person come in from another state, like the white lady you said, and they got the qualifications and they done served in another clerk of court somewhere out of
Right.
state, and they happen to be black and they really qualified. Well, okay, put your name up in the hat and let's see what's happening. Now, the lady, the deputy who's been there 10 years, I don't know if she's been there more than you or just behind you. She's earned her chief
She's
deputy.
been there more than me.
Okay, so she's earned chief deputy, and then if she happened to run for clerk of court, she may have earned that because she's the labor. See, I ain't with all this crazy. I'm not with a lot of foolishness. I'm just
I don't even know. I don't want to bring that up because I don't even know if
no,
she's
but I'm
even
just saying
interested.
how
We've never
people.
had that.
I'm just saying how people like they put it on you that you wanted to ease somebody in and all that kind of stuff. That's
No,
all I'm
it's
saying.
just that's just a bald faced lie, is what that is.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna call it like it is. I can't help it. Uh, I wish I didn't have to say that because I don't like to call anybody a liar, but that's just a flat out falsehood. Let me put it that way.
Because like I said, in my talking to you over this last year, I always will ask you, when is the next election? Who trying to run against? Is somebody trying to run against you? And you
Right.
tell me, as of now, I really don't know. I haven't even heard no talk. Even last time when you got ready to run, you said, "Well, I'm not." I said, "What we need to do to get you back in?" You said, "I'm not opposed." Okay, I said, "Good." I said, "That's all right, good." So this time I asked you the same thing. I said, "Is it that time?" I said, "Who's running against you?" And you said, "I don't know." Yeah, I started asking other people, and they said nobody had qualified yet. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I saw that you had to start spending all this money to try to stay in office, to try to stay in office because you were being opposed. And I only knew about one person, but then I found out about another person. I'm like, what is really going on? What they gotta get Mr. Jerry Stanga that they want him out of office? So then somebody tells me, well, the only reason this one and that one run because Gary had said he wasn't gonna run. I'm like, he ain't never told me that. That's
I've
her
never told anybody that. I never told anybody that. And I look anybody dead square in the eye. I'm a pretty big fella. I might have to sit down to look them in the eye, but I, I never said that and never ever said that. And anyway, look,
well,
like I said, if you're going to run against an incumbent, you got to come up with something. You can't just say, "Hey, I'm running and I'm a good guy or I'm a good lady or whatever the case may be." You got to come up with something. Okay. So, uh, and I don't take it, most of it, I don't take personal, uh, because it's politics and politics is, I, I like serving the people, but I don't like politics. I really don't.
right.
You know,
I don't like politics either because politics gets dirty and it gets crazy, and then it causes people to be divided because somebody attacked me. Like I'm pulling black folks down because I'm supporting Gary Stanley. They really upset my nerves. I'm gonna be honest with you because I know the bridge that's been carrying me over and supporting me. And like I told you, and I told you, I'm gonna say it, Gary, because you know me. Like I told you. I said, Gary, this your last turn. You ain't gonna need my vote no more. So if I don't get no support, that's still all right here. Like I tell the like people sang the song about the Lord. If you don't do nothing else, you already did enough.
well, and you, let me just say this, you're not by yourself because I have, a lot of friends, uh, and some of them were, had some people in their community, whatever, that kind of said the same thing to them, and they just told them, look, you support who you want to, and I'll support who I want to. This is a free country, and it works. And look, it works both ways. I mean, uh, uh, like Joyce Jackson, she's running for sheriff, and there's no question that she probably has overwhelming support in African American community. But uh, Joyce knows as well as I do, and anybody else running, that she also has to have support in the other, in the
Yeah.
Caucasian.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so, I mean, you can't just play one thing, I mean, and look, I understand why, or maybe I can't understand. I try to understand, uh, why it's so important to people to have someone that is of color to be to help to hold these various positions, simply because it's just been a long time coming. Okay, look at Amy. I mean, uh, Amy has a African American mayor, and I know for a fact that he didn't get elected just on African American
I
vote.
know that's right.
Okay,
Bet you about
so
$1.
he had, and I think what it shows you is if you have a good candidate in that people of all races, you know what I wish? I wish they would do away with party affiliations.
A
I
lot of
wish,
people say that.
I wish they didn't have Democrats and they didn't have Republicans, and just everybody would run for office, and you get up there and say what you for and what you against. And I guarantee you, it would change the whole nature of politics, not only here in Tangipahoa Parish, it would change things throughout the state of Louisiana and throughout this country. It would change.
Right, right, right. It would, it would. Well, Brother Gary Stangler, you know you got my support 100, and I hope we be able to have a victory party. Don't
Hey,
have any.
I want to say one thing before we close out, please. I went last Sunday, and you were there to the event that they had honoring James Cox and Olivia Robertson, and they was. I talked to Olivia earlier tonight before we got on here, and she was laughing at me. She said she was basically saying, "For a white boy, you sure was getting down to that music." I know it. She didn't say it that way, but I know what she was thinking. So if Olivia's listening, I bet she's laughing right now, because I do. I mean, anybody can sit there and listen to that music and not be patting your feet and clapping your hands. Something wrong with you.
I
So
know, I
I
know.
enjoyed it.
Right, right, right. Well, Brother Gary, you know your record, and you know what you have done for people, and God knows. So, you know, hey, may God be with you, and may it stand, and I wish you well. Don't
Thank you.
have anything against either your components.
No,
I don't know either one of them. I recently met the black man recently at the second Saturday breakfast. That was my first time ever acknowledging that he even exists. I don't know him, so nobody can ask me to just. And don't get me wrong, because I asked a lot of people that didn't know Tracy to support Tracy, but that was on the merits of me believing in her. And I know that there are a lot of people who support me and believe in my what I think and what I feel. And I'm banking on a lot of them are going to take my advice and vote on behalf of you that know me, to know that if I say you the man, you the man. So I'm believing that, and I know some are. I know some not, but I know some are. And so sometimes you do. Like I said, I have no problem with. Like I said, I'm aware of the gentleman now that election time is going on, but before then, I don't recall ever meeting him. Uh, but somebody want to jump all down my throat about who I'm supporting because of color and stuff, but I ain't got time. Oh Lord, I ain't got time. But and like I said, qualification, and that's the thing that was with Tracy is for his qualification and for just a need for a change for him. But qualifications when it comes to the clerk of the court, we're gonna have to elect somebody in the next 4 years, but not right now. So we're gonna have to figure that out. And if they want an African American or whatever, we need to make sure that that person got a track record of being well and able with some background. And not saying that this gentleman wouldn't do a good job, but it don't appear. I don't know his resume because he's been in that office 30 something years and retired. So what is the resume of overseeing a company that's got millions of dollars involved with and hiring a lot of different employees? Not saying that he can't do it because
Right.
African Americans are very small. So, anyway, well, I don't use African American because I ain't never seen Africa. I'm an American,
There
and I
you
just
go.
happen to be a descendant of some Africans, some descendants of some Caucasians, descendants of India. I'm descendants of everybody, so I'm an American. So,
Well, the Bible tells you if you don't love uh, your brother, uh, that you're going to live in darkness forever. So, you know, I try, some people's hard to love. You know what I'm saying? But you know,
I know exactly what you're saying.
the good, the good Lord knows I'm telling the truth when I say that I have, and I'm not talking about my opponents now. Not that I wouldn't, but I don't think they haven't done me anything. I mean, they're running for office, and that's their right, and I respect that. What I'm saying is the people that have just tried to spread misinformation, disinformation, and downright lies. I've been praying for them. I've
Right.
been praying for them, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I hope God touches them, and maybe and it's not because it's so much of what they're doing to me. It's what they're doing to themselves by doing that. So anyway, with all of that being said, thank you so much for having me on tonight. I
Yeah,
hope I
I'm
don't. I
sorry.
doubt people sit here and listen to an hour and 40 minutes of us talking. But if they caught some of it, good. And I,
It's like they come back. People knows it. They coming back and they gonna listen. They might listen in spots, and you can fast forward it. If we
yeah,
talk about what they want in one spot, we might be
right.
talking about what they want in another spot. And of course, I'm probably gonna be bashed for being who I am. But guess what? I've always been a black sheep of everything, so I don't care. I'm who I am, and one thing about it, I'm my own person, and I make my own choices. And they say my head is hard as a brick anyway. So,
I've been accused of that too.
but anyway, but this has been wonderful because it brought us together in conversation. It allowed me to tour your office and find out what you do other than reducing warrants and other than getting donations.
And look, anybody, if you're ever in a meet and you're just curious about the clerk's office, you come by there, and if I'm not in a meeting or if I'm not upstairs in court or something, just come by there. And if I'm not available, one of the ladies will do it. But we'll be happy to anybody that wants to come. You welcome, and we'll take you through and explain to you what your clerk's office does and what's available to you there. And we'll be happy to do that. We do every year. We do leadership Tanspo.
Okay.
They have that group of people that come through,
Yeah.
and they came through earlier in the week, and we always enjoy doing that because people usually are pretty amazed at everything that's done at the office, and the fact that they're also amazed by that none of their tax money goes to running our office. That we're self-sufficient. So
Well, my
anyway,
thing about it, okay, if the tax money do pay for the clerk's office, it's a part of the parish or whatever. I don't know. People be with too much stuff.
yeah,
People be with too much stuff. But I know you did tell me, y'all. I can tell you that Mr. Sanger knows anything about certain criminal things, warrants and all that kind of stuff, tickets, stuff like that. Their office, a lot of that comes through their license, divorce paper, uh, all kind of stuff like that. Stuff to do with your property and your land and stuff. It's all recorded, I believe, up in that area. Different things like that. Throw something else out about two things just to get them an idea. I threw some out there. All of that. If you want to get your record, what is the word? Expunged or what is it? Expunged?
yeah, expunged.
Expunged. You go to the clerk's office. They
Yeah,
figure out how they get you all the information you got to
yeah,
do that. Want to find out about the vote stuff? They can tell you all of that. So he's overseeing of a lot of stuff, doing a lot of stuff up there, a lot of stuff. Birth
that's right.
birth certificates too, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. What I always tell people, we give them their birth certificate so they can go back there and get their marriage license, and then they get their passport so that they can go on their honeymoon after they get married, and then after they get back and they can't get along, then we handle a divorce for
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's
them.
good. So yeah, Mr. Stangler, he wants to retire. He still got some more good years, and I'm just gonna tell y'all this: by him being a little older, he needs to be able to come onto that office every day for the next 4 years to sustain him and keep
Yeah.
him going.
Number 78, Renee.
Number 78, y'all. Number 78 on the ballot. None other than Mr. Gary Stangler. He wants to continue to serve you for the next 4 years. And after that, y'all him. If it's a lie, he telling it. He said he will not run
That's
again.
right. It's you got it on, you got it recorded. Besides, if I didn't, my wife would kill me. So
Yes.
four
Okay.
more years and out the door.
You want to pray us out or you want me to pray us out?
You go ahead.
Father, we just thank you. We just thank you for this interview. We thank you for this man of God. We thank you for this time. God, we just thank you for him being our clerk of court for the last 6 years. And he desires to be it another 4 years, which will make 10 years total. God, we ask you, Lord, that you would grant it if you please, God. We ask you, Lord, that you touch the hearts of the voters, God, that some will come there, listen to this video, and he'll find favor hearts and that they'll go in vote number 78. And Lord, we just thank you. And Lord, we ask you that you would bless his wife, bless his friend, bless his child or children, and all his family, God. And Lord, we just thank you for being God. In Jesus' name, we thank you. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
All right. We
Thank
out.
you.
Talk to you later.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.